Podcast.
It's Big Podcast Playbook, the marketing podcast for podcasters. If you want to grow your podcast audience, if you want to make better podcasts that will grow that podcast audience, if you want to make more money because you have a big podcast audience, this is the podcast for you. My name is David Hooper. BigPodcast.com is where I hang out. Also, studios, radio stations, editing bays. Today, this episode, I'm going to talk about trophies and paid trophies specifically. There has been a lot about the FIFA Peace Prize. Didn't exist last year. Now it exists. The Kennedy Center honors. Also, because this is a podcast about podcasting, a lot of podcasting awards. Is it pay to play? Does it really matter? I'm going to talk about this. I want to give you a skeptical, no-nonsense look about awards and also kind of the behind-the-scenes of awards. I have never run an award show, but for years, I did run a huge music conference, meaning that I had 350 to 450 acts come to my city, to Nashville, Tennessee. It wasn't an award, but you had to submit, you had to get picked, we would showcase you. 22 clubs, 5 nights, multiple acts per night. We had more people wanting to be part of this than we did spaces. In fact, when I talk about 350 to 450 acts per year, it didn't start like that. It didn't start as 22 clubs. It didn't start as 5 days. It started about 3 days, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 clubs, 10 or 12 clubs, who knows? I don't remember it because it was a huge blur. I bring this up because it's very similar to awards. If you look at music business events, showcases, anything where you have to submit a demo, usually it's with a check, I don't know, 10 or 15 bucks, I think is what we were charging. And that wasn't for us to make money. That was for us to not have you submit 20 demos and think that you were going to game the thing or that getting a showcase was just random. So you'll often see a submission fee on something like a showcase or an award show. I have no issue with that. With that said, a lot of these podcast awards, they are very big submissions, some of them hundreds of dollars. You'll see it, the early bird entry, $259 per category, and there's 50 categories, and you can submit in more than one category. I know guys are spending $1,000 or more on these things, hoping to win one, and the reason that they're doing that is because they think it's going to get them listeners. They think that it's going to get them more sponsors. They think that it's going to give them more credibility. Like somehow the person at the award show coming off that mountain full of money that he's just made, walking down, bestowing on you this honor is going to do anything for your podcast. Most of the time, it is not. I'll give you a music example that does. The Grammy Awards. Why does that matter? Because it comes attached to a huge television event. You'll see awards that are basically sales awards, like a New York Times bestseller. Will that help? Yeah, maybe credibility. That's why I think most people get into these award shows. They think, oh, I'm going to get credibility. Maybe, if it's something huge. But New York Times, it's not for sale. There are ways to game the system. Yeah, they do it all the time. And once that gets out, then it loses credibility. Sort of like the Kennedy Center Awards. This year didn't mean as much as last year because they got a new committee, new people picking the award winners. Same thing with the World Peace Award or whatever it is. It's a made-up award, man. You and I could get together and make up an award right now, give it to ourselves, give it to anybody. Does it help? Probably not. And you've seen this happen because you look at people who do this. I won Miss Bumfuck County, also Miss Bumfuck County, USA. It doesn't mean anything. It's meant to sound famous. It fools some people, usually the people that are spending these submission fees. I'm not saying all awards are bad, but for some of these guys, it is simply a business model. They are cashing in on your desire to be legitimate. It's not every award on earth. It's the one where you're swiping your card to compete. Get in this category for $149, then get in additional categories for $99, that kind of thing. I want you to think about this. This is most podcasters, and you may be included in it. Most podcasters don't want a trophy. They want what they think the trophy unlocks. Sponsors, network interest, better guest, more money, a little respect maybe. That's how these guys are getting these high submission fees. You'll be respected. You'll get more sponsors. They're actually sales calls. They sell the dream. And one of the ways that they do that is they will say, submissions listened to by, they'll have some celebrity panelist up there, people who are being paid, and are not listening to every single submission that comes in. Maybe the top choices are picked by the intern. That goes over to the celebrity panel. Who knows? That's not guaranteed. Some people are going to do anything for a paycheck. They will put their name, likeness, signature on anything where they are being paid. Influencers, the kind you see on Instagram, they are notorious for this. Everything is for sale. Related to the Kennedy Center honors, Gene Simmons from Kiss. You walk in with a check, he's willing to license his name to you. In fact, he actually just sold the name and its licensing rights to somebody for about $350 million. He didn't care. He's not attached to it. The only thing he cares about, the only name that really matters, is the name on the check that he receives. If it's his, you are in. You know who doesn't care? Your listeners. They do not care. They're not that invested. They're not listening to you because you've won awards. They're listening to you because you help them, because you entertain them, because they've got a parasocial relationship with you. They like your content, not because of any awards you have won. Sponsors, they don't care about awards either. They want audience fit. They want consistency. They want reliability. They want your relationship with the people who are listening to you. Do you have the number of people they want to reach? And do you have the people themselves that they want to reach? Is your audience relevant to them? Are you brand safe? Is their association with you going to embarrass you? Think about your own behavior. How many people are saying they're award winning? How many people say they have the number one book on Amazon? They don't. The number one book on Amazon is the number one book of all of Amazon. Not in a category, certainly not in a sub category. If you want to stay up till 2 a.m., buy a bunch of your own book, you can be a regional or sub category bestseller pretty easily. And even on that level, staying up till 2 a.m., buying a bunch of your own books, is just like paying for an award. That skews everything to those who can pay. Let me go back to the music business conference I mentioned at the beginning of this episode. We ran into a real issue of getting top-notch headlining acts that could bring in the people for everybody else who was on the bill, because those acts were hard to reach. They didn't go to music conferences. They were out doing their thing. They were too busy. They had too much going on. It's the same thing for podcasts that are actually doing something. They're either out there making money, too busy to submit for an award, or they are making the podcast that they want to make, that their audience gets connected to and really likes to listen to, not looking at, oh man, maybe I should submit for this award. The hard workers and the guys that are having success, they're not even on the list for the panel, assuming that it is a panel and not an intern, to pick from. Regarding that panel, who are the judges? How are they chosen? And how much time are they realistically spending? I already talked about that, the hundreds and hundreds of submissions that come in. Usually the panel of judges, they might get, 1, 2, who knows if they actually listen to it. They're on the payroll. And even if they are listening, are they experts on podcasts? Are they experts in your genre of podcasts? Would they know good or great even if they listen to it? Just because somebody's famous doesn't make them a podcasting expert. This is one of the reasons that people really love the Grammys, by the way. The Grammys are voted on by an industry of your peers. Anytime there's an academy, whether it's a recording academy, the motion picture academy, you're being voted on by an industry of your peers. Do your peers know what's up? Let's talk about the Grammys and what that looks like. In the late 80s, Metallica was red hot. They were up against Jethro Tull, a classic rock band. Jethro Tull sold about 30 million records, so a lot of records, much more than Metallica at the time. Who won the best hard rock album? Jethro Tull. Was it better? Arguably not. But the people voting on the Grammys, they were an older audience. They knew Jethro Tull. Sometimes people just vote for the names that they know. They're not doing the research. They're old. They're out of date. I would definitely question the judging panel. And judging panel, when you're talking about judging, do you really want judgment against you regardless of how good the panel is? It's one person's opinion. It's a panel's opinion. Again, why are you doing this? It's what you think it's going to do to you. And in most cases, nothing, because your listeners, they don't care. They like your content. They like you. They don't care about what some panel thinks about you, young or hip or old and out of touch. Instead of spending money on awards or chances at awards, here's what I would do. Focus on the basics, focus on your audio quality, focus on your content, focus on getting good guests and preparing them and you being prepared to interview them. Focus on your editing. Podcasting is pretty simple. You don't have to worry about the latest and greatest. Good enough as far as audio quality is pretty good. After a certain point, you don't need the latest mic. You don't need the best interface. You just need an interface, a mic, a quiet place, maybe a little compression. I'm talking into a $500 mic. I'm going into a DBX286S preamp. I've got a Focusrite 4i4 interface. Add these up, I don't know, maybe $1,000, probably a little less than $1,000. Using free software going into Audacity. I use Isotope RX to clean things up. Again, $1,000, $1,200. I don't know what I've got invested in this studio right now, the equipment that I'm using this moment. Let's say it's $1,500 soup to nuts. So if you don't already have this kind of equipment, what you're spending on entrance fees, you can get it and sound pretty good. And your listeners, the people who really care, they're going to appreciate you for it. I would invest in discoverability, invest in marketing. Maybe you want to do some paid promotions, paid cross promotions, ads within podcast players. I would suggest starting there, going with somebody who is already listening to audio. That's going to be easier for them to come onto your podcast. They got the player, great. Subscribe to my podcast or listen to it with one click, done. That's a pretty easy sell. It's more difficult. And this is why I think it's so funny for the guys who are using YouTube because of discoverability to promote podcasts. Oh, come and listen to my podcast. No. Those are YouTubers, man. Those are YouTubers. They like YouTube. They're not going to come over to a podcast player, switch from one modality to another. No, they're not going to do that. A few of them might, but not on a mass level. If you want more podcast listeners, go to people who are already podcast listeners. I would look at your brand and your positioning. Maybe you want an artwork refresh. Maybe like this podcast, I did get an artwork refresh recently, but it was because I had a name refresh. That was free, man. Maybe sharper landing page, better podcast website. You can invest in going to a live event where you can actually meet other podcasters in person, nose to nose, toes to toes, face to face. Don't worry about the size. You don't need to meet everybody. You see the big events, oh, it's 1,000, 2,000 people. Okay, great. That's overwhelming to some people. Sometimes the best events are the smaller ones. I ran one a couple times. We were basically doing Dunbar's number, 100, 120 people. That was it. Everybody knew everybody by the time they left. And that's not against the 1,000 or 2,000 people events, but you're not going to meet 1,000 or 2,000 people. That's not 10 or 20 times better than the 100-person event. Sometimes these events are so big, you're not going to even see the people you're going there to meet. So if you do go to those events, go there with a plan. And that takes it back to my big point. Most of the stuff that's going to help move the needle for you, a plan, coming up with that and enacting it, that doesn't cost you a thing. Getting to the event, that's going to cost you. But whether or not you have success at the event, it's not because of the event, it's because of you and that plan and enacting the plan. Let me leave you with this. These are questions to ask yourself if you're thinking about trying to go for an award. Ask yourself, can I clearly explain how this will lead to more listeners or more revenue? Beyond, hey, it will feel good. Write that off the table. How is it going to move the needle? Is the judging process or scoring explained in detail, and is it public? Or is it just an opinion? Because that happens. In fact, some award shows, some organizations, they will find somebody, try to hitch their wagon onto that person. Let's say something like Call Her Daddy. Oh, Call Her Daddy's doing well. Maybe if we give her an award, she'll give us a little bit of her credibility. No, she won't. It goes back to what I was talking about. The people who are working don't need awards. They don't care. They've already got what they need. They've got listeners. They've got money, sponsorships, credibility. Awards do not factor into this process. This next one, this is a big one. This is where the rubber meets the road. Do you recognize the past winners? Back to my music business experience, there'd be songwriting competitions. Oh, man. You never heard of any of the winners, man. You haven't heard any of their songs? It's just a logo factory. Last thing I want you to ask yourself, let's say the entry fee is $300 or $100. Ask yourself, could I put this money elsewhere? What could I get for $100? How about an SM57, SM58? The payoff on that is huge. It's $300. These Focusrite interfaces, about $300. A DBX286 is preamp and compression and also de-esser and enhancer and expander noise gate. That's about $300. You can do a lot with a little money, and if you buy something like this, like a mic, channel strip, preamp, interface, that is going to give you an instant return on investment. The award show, probably not so much. I'm interested in your opinions. Have you submitted your podcast for an award and had a good payback, good return on investment? If you have, let me know. Have you submitted for a podcast award and lost all that money? Nothing happened, even if you won. I want to know that too. You can reach out to me at bigpodcast.com. While you are there, subscribe to this podcast. You can do that at bigpodcast.com/subscribe. I make it easy for you to subscribe. I've got an iPhone button, an Android button, and an RSS button. You know what's not on there? An award graphic. Although I did just get an award. I gave it to myself. The Blue Yeti Peace Prize. You can see it on my LinkedIn. Find everything at bigpodcast.com, including how to work with me if you want to work with me one-on-one. You want to work with me in a group setting with other podcasters that are working just as hard as you are. I've got something called AMP, AMP, stands for Audio Monetization Program. You will find that at bigpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. Did you subscribe yet? Go there, do it right now before you forget. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Make it happen, and I'll see you on the next episode of Big Podcast Playbook.